welcome to the Soulful Badass podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Jackson, an intuitive success coach from the UK, and I'm here to help entrepreneurs, leaders, and soul-aligned goddesses to create epic levels of success and impact in your life and your business. So if that sounds good to you, make sure you are tuning in every week for mindset talk, manifestation, magic, and incredible interviews with other soul-aligned entrepreneurs. So hit the subscribe button, and I'd love to invite you to come and join the Soulful Badass community. All the links are in the show notes. Please go and click them, and I'll see you in there. Oh my God, how exciting is this? Here we are, season 5 of the podcast. Now, when I first started the podcast, I did think to myself, what the hell am I going to talk about on a podcast week after week after week? And here we are on season 5. So today's podcast, I want to talk to you about the power of just getting started. Before you get started at absolutely everything, your ego is going to kick in and tell you you are not going to be able to do it. You're not going to be able to sustain it. You're not going to know what you're doing. It will come and be your worst critic even before you get going. And this is why most people don't start things in the first place. But often when you get over that first hurdle of trying something, failing at it, trying it again, what tends to happen is you tend to get ideas and things come to you, and you can see things from a different angle that you would never ever have seen before if you didn't get started in the first place. So I want to ask you, is there something that has been stopping you moving forward? Now, this season is all going to be about you taking ownership and leadership of your life and your business. We're going to be diving into energetics. We're going to be diving into mindset work. We're going to be diving into all things leadership, because everyone who is listening to this podcast is an absolute leader in their own right. Now, sometimes people think that is you can only be a leader if you are line managing people, and that is bullshit. So you are a leader, whether you are a mother, whether you are an influencer, whether you're an entrepreneur, whatever it is, you are a leader, and you are meant to lead and take charge of your own life. Yes, that can be scary for some of us because we don't put ourselves first, but you are the leader of your life, and you are the creator, and you can change things. And that is exactly what we are going to be diving into. And the first thing is, let's look at, what have you been putting off? What have you been not starting because your inner critic has been coming up and saying you can't do it? Just like I did with the podcast. Now, this podcast has evolved and grown as times went on. It's had 3 different names in that time. And the amount of time I spent at the beginning thinking, what is going to be the perfect name for my podcast? What is it going to be called? Oh my God, I spent absolute weeks thinking of this. And you know what? It didn't matter diddly squat. All you have to do is think about what you are trying to put out there at that moment in time. You are allowed to change. You're allowed to evolve. You're allowed to be different. So please do not let something like naming something or having to have the perfect answer be the thing that keeps you stuck. The people I talk to, the people who listen to this podcast, are there to make huge impact in this world. And I am talking to you. So if you are listening, if you have your headphones in and you can hear my crazy British accent, then that is who I am talking to. You are meant to make huge impact in this world. So let's just put that out there to begin with. You found me for a reason, and that is the type of people I attract. So one, what is that big impact you are meant to be making? Is it that you're meant to be an influencer? Is it that you are meant to have your own business? Is it that you are meant to be leading something in some way, shape, or form? Or is it that you are raising the most epic children ever, and your influence on them is going to be so huge because you are the leader of your life and you are showing them how to do that themselves? So, whatever way it looks for you, know that your impact is incredible. And by you keeping stuck, that also has an impact as well. I don't think people look at this enough. People look at the people striving, the people going forward, the people doing the scary things and thinking they're the ones having impact. But actually, they're not just the only people have an impact in this life. The people who are staying stuck, the people who are in that period where they really want to move forward, but they're holding themselves back. You have people looking at you too. And you have yourself looking at you going, when are you going to do it? Are you going to move us forward? But then you try and move forward and you have this ego coming up saying, no, don't, it's scary. The thing is, if you are striving for something and you are wanting to make impact and influence, it is always going to be scary. You're always going to have a level of ego that shows up because you're stepping out your comfort zone. So the more you just get over the fact that it's going to be there, the imposter syndrome, perfectionism, it's always going to be there. But the thing is, it's your choice whether you let it keep you in the place that you are. Or you just decide that it's a part of you and you move forward with your goals anyway. Because there's somebody and someone out there who needs to hear the things that you are meant to be saying. So whatever it is that you have been holding back on, I want you to think this week, what are you going to move forward with, regardless of the fear, regardless of the ego, regardless of the imposter syndrome? What is it you could be moving forward with in your life at this second? Imagine if I hadn't said yes to myself and started the podcast. 5 seasons in, 3 podcast names, absolute change in direction, as in like more fire every single time. That just wouldn't be there if I had said, oh, well, I won't know what to talk about after a few episodes, so let's just not bother. Do you know what? Sometimes I get the inspiration from the most crazy things, but that's where I get an outlet to share it. So where are you getting inspiration from? And you're not giving yourself an outlet because you're not moving forward with those dreams. So you will only get the further insight once you take the big, scary action. And that is the bit people forget. You often sit there thinking, I'm going to be able to plan it all out. I'm going to get a strategy. I'll get my 5-year plan. I'll know every step so I'm secure and I feel safe. It doesn't happen that way. You don't get the downloads, the insights, the creativity until you start moving forward. So this week is all about momentum. What are you meant to be building momentum around, taking big, scary action and doing the damn thing? Because that's what you need to be thinking on. And that's what I'm hoping to inspire you on this week. For me, it was the podcast. It was starting the whole business. I didn't have a clue at the beginning what it was going to look like. I did not know I was going to be talking to entrepreneurs because when I first started out at the beginning, I didn't know how to be an entrepreneur myself. So how was I ever going to teach entrepreneurs? So if that had dropped into my mindset at that time, it would have scared the shit out of me because I would have thought, well, I don't know what I'm doing there. So I started with what I knew at the time. I started talking about manifestation. I started talking about spirituality. And now everything has blended beautifully into I talk about manifestation and spirituality with entrepreneurs. So it doesn't need to know which direction it's going to take. You don't need to know that. The universe has a bigger plan for you, but your actions are going to help you build that momentum and get you to where you need to be. So week 1 of series 5 is all about action. Now, this is the thing. Go and join the Soulful Badass community. It is a Facebook group of inspiring individuals all on this journey. But go and join that community and tell us what inspired action you are going to take this week. What has this podcast said to you that you have been stalling, you have been putting off? What is that big thing that you want to start or get moving, build momentum around? Go and drop it in that Facebook group and share with us all. That's your safe space to get back in accountability and move things forward in a really good way. So challenge yourself. What can you do to move forward to your goals this week? What can you do to really step out of your comfort zone and dive into the unknown? Believe me, I hated the thought of having a podcast at the beginning. I thought, who wants to listen to my voice? I didn't even like to listen to my voice. And you just do it. You just get over it. The more you do it, the more you get used to it. The more I do it, I can listen to my podcast. I actually listen to my meditations. I'm over the fact that I didn't like the sound of my voice. It was all that was my ego creeping in to tell me, hold back. You're not good enough. You're going somewhere scary. And I just decided not to listen to it. And once you do, everything just gets easier and easier. And then you set another big goal and you're on to the next thing. So you're always going to keep growing if you always keep moving. So make sure you are doing some movement this week. Make sure you are taking action. You are grabbing life by the balls and going, what is that thing that's been scaring me? What is that thing? What is that podcast? Use the podcast as the example, but what is that podcast in my life? What is that thing that I have been stopping? And it might be a podcast. I hear so many people go, well, Rachel, you must have the most, good setup. You must have all this stuff. You can do it on such low tech. There is no excuse. And I'm going to do a masterclass on this at some point. So if you are wanting to start a podcast, go and join the Soulful Badass community. Tell me that. Drop it in the comments somewhere, because I want to show you how easy this is. We're going to be diving in this season into how easy business and life can be, because you are here to create impact. You're not here to stay stuck. You're not here to stay in your comfort zone. So get ready to get your big girl pants on, because we are going for a big ride. So please tell me if this one's inspired you to move forward, take that leap, do whatever it is that you need to be doing, because we're going to be diving into so much goodness this season. And I have already recorded some epic interviews. So go and click the subscribe buttons to make sure you get episode after episode of what is coming up. But remember, you are here to create big impact. And I want to hear all about those changes you are making, because staying stuck is not helping anyone. And you are here to have a positive influence on this world. So please don't hold yourself back. You're actually hurting other people, because they need to hear your voice. They need to feel whatever it is you are doing. So go and create that impact and have the most epic week.